Hello everyone, welcome back to another edition of Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. I am Ben the Bold, and today we are taking on an armed convoy attack. In this one, we are going to be raiding a heavily defended convoy. So, we will build either a battlecruiser, a heavy cruiser, or some light cruisers. The enemy fleet will consist of 2 battleships. I'm hoping those are pre-Dreadnought battleships. 1 heavy cruiser, 1 light cruiser. It looks like actually 2 light cruisers, and then several convoy ships, just transport ships. We have an hour to do it. We have to sink 100% of the transports. The enemy will never retreat. I've seen that before, but we'll see what actually happens, because sometimes they do decide to just run away from you. I think in this case, for the first try at it, I'm actually going to go with guns and fire control. I think that will help us to sink their ships a little faster if we can just be a little bit more accurate. So let's go ahead and build our ship. Alright, and here is going to be our ship. We're going to try to sink an entire convoy with this. I do not think that this is going to be the most efficient way to do this. I have just built one big, huge battle cruiser. I outfitted it with a really kind of weird gun scheme. I have really 9 13-inch guns and 3 big triple turrets. I also was able to put a 9-inch centerline gun. I don't necessarily know if I should be mixing calibers here, but I'm going to give it a shot. I have a 9-inch centerline gun above one of the 13 inches, and then I have these side guns, these 8-inchers on the sides. We'll see. I also have just a whole lot of like 2-inch casemate guns. There's one, for example, all over the conning towers. I have gone ahead and given it plenty of upgrades. It does have a good engine. It's decent speed with 30 knots. Its range is, of course, very short. It has a decent enough engine. It does have corrupt armor, too. I went ahead and paid to have the barbettes a little tougher. I didn't invest much into torpedo defense because I'm going to try to stay far enough away from torpedoes anyway. I invested a lot into aiming shells as well as quick moving turrets, same with rangefinders, and I got the best radio I could find. I also went ahead and increased the armor to 8-inch belt, 4-inch belt extended, and 2-inch deck, 1.5-inch deck extended. I'm not sure that's going to be enough if I'm really pummeled by the battleship, so they are definitely going to be a high priority to be sunk first, because I think their big guns will be able to tear through my deck, especially considering I probably don't outgun them as far as the size of my guns, so we'll just have to see. I'm hoping that I'm just going to be more accurate from long range from their battleships, and then I move in and take care of business against the rest of the fleet after the battleships are dealt with. As I said, I'm not feeling super confident about this one, but I wanted to give it a try. I wanted to build as big of a battle cruiser as I could and outfit it with just a bunch of moderately heavy guns and just see what happens. So, without any further ado, let's just see what happens. Alright, here we are. Looks like we are taking on the American Navy in this first mission. We are the Japanese Navy. We've actually already taken a small hit. Not too worried about it. While we have not identified their ships yet, it's looking like this is going to be one of their big battleships. And I am going to hope that those guns won't be super accurate from as far away as they are, that they don't have as good a range finding as me. After all, I did pay to have the range finding increased by quite a bit. I do, however, think this battleship just looks super epic as it just comes towards me. Here's the battleship Kirishima actually running away. The battle cruiser Kirishima, excuse me, it is actually running away from the American fleet. We, I think, are faster than them. We also have the majority of our big heavy guns on the rear of the vessel, so I'm going to be happy to let them kind of try to chase me, and then every now and again kind of turns to my side so that I can get all my guns involved. It appears that the light cruiser Detroit, as well as over here the light cruiser New Haven, while have not sank, are dead in the water. I do try to just get a couple more volleys off against them. However, I think I'm going to go ahead and switch my focus back to the battleships. That should allow me to hopefully close in later with some of the heavier cruisers and the enemy's transport ships, which I actually have not seen, and I'm worried that I might lose them. So let's go ahead and see if I can sink these battleships real quick. Unfortunately, I really wasn't able to hit their battleships, and I noticed that this heavy cruiser is a little closer than I would like, and it is firing several shots at me. I am at a good place to sink it, so I'm going to go ahead and just concentrate my fire on it. Hopefully some of these will hit, and that helps a lot. The heavy cruiser, the Tulsa, seems to be flooding. It's also on fire. Hopefully another couple salvos, and I'll be able to sink it into the deep. I also might think about bringing my Battlecruiser and trying to cut between the 2 American battleships and the rest of the fleet. Maybe circle back around towards the transports, because after all, I do have to sink those transports as well. I only have 36 minutes left in the scenario. So I have just done massive amounts of damage to the heavy cruiser Tulsa. I am trying to put it under to have it be the first casualty of the battle, but it is very resilient and refuses to take any take that last final step to actually sinking beneath the waves. So now we have actually sunk those 2 light cruisers that were just kind of hanging around back here. They weren't able to keep up with the rest of their fleet. We, however, also may not be able to keep up with the rest of their fleet because our max speed is only about 17 knots, a little under 17 knots. So let's see if we can catch up. We are firing at their main fleet now. However, I do not think that in the next 13 minutes we will have enough time to sink their 2 battleships as well as their transports. I will say I've really enjoyed this kind of one versus many fleet battle. In fact, I think even though it's probably not the best way to go about doing it, I'm actually going to build another battlecruiser. Maybe even a true battlecruiser where I don't put a ton of armor on, instead just focus on really big guns. I think I might try that next, just for fun. You know, this is what this is for. We want to see what works, maybe what doesn't work. And so I'm already looking forward to the next battlecruiser I'm going to make. Indeed, we did, in fact, just run out of time in our first attempt. That's okay, though. I would like to try this again. I'm going to try to build a much more prototypical battlecruiser where I just focus probably on just a few but very heavy guns, pretty light armor, and just see if I can make it very fast, very high-powered, and probably skimp the armor a little bit. Let's see what I can create. Okay, and this is the battlecruiser that I have come up with. It is a heavily armored guy, that's for sure. We have 3 15-inch guns here, 3 15-inch guns here, 3 15-inch guns here. That is 9 15-inch guns. I once again just stuck this little 9-inch gun on top. I figured why not, but this time I also went with 9-inch guns here. So it has a broadside power, depending on the side, of 6 9-inch guns as well as the 9 15-inch guns. And just like before, it does have all those 2-inch casemates just all up the superstructure. I didn't focus as much on armor. I'm going to try to stay far enough away where I don't have to worry about armor. I did make sure that I get the best range finding. Hopefully I have increased accuracy as well. This time I went with increased amount of shells, which should help. I'm once again up around 30 knots. Very heavy ship. Alright, it seems that I've actually maybe even spawned in a little closer than normal. Even their light cruisers, or at least a little closer than I did the last time, even their light cruisers are right there in range. I'm gone ahead and I think I'm going to go ahead and turn away. After all, most of my firepower is in the rear of my ship anyway. They are laying down a ton of fire at me. I'm not super worried about it because I definitely don't want them to get too many big shell hits too soon because that will slow me down. And my big thing in this scenario is my speed. Indeed, thankfully they haven't hit anything yet, but I need to turn away very quickly. This looks to be a light cruiser, even though I have not completely identified it yet. I have already struck it, caught it on fire. Hopefully that was one of my big guns that hit it. We've just got a huge hit on the battleship Tennessee here. I almost feel bad. I don't live in Tennessee anymore, but I'm actually a native-born Tennessean, so I like to see its namesake do well. Unfortunately, today it is destined for doom as it takes on the battlecruiser, the Takayo. As we get another shell volley in and do go ahead and destroy their funnel. Unfortunately, I was not able to go ahead and sink the battleship Tennessee, but this light cruiser Honolulu was getting a little closer than I would like, so I just went ahead and gave it a little bit of fire just to make it turn and run. Feeling pretty good about that. Now I will go ahead and shift my focus back towards the Tennessee as the Honolulu makes smoke. It appears that we have set the battleship Kentucky ablaze. Meanwhile, the Tennessee continues to burn in the background. As soon as we can maybe get some of the Kentucky's guns to stop firing on us, I think we will move once again and try to sink the Tennessee. We have indeed sunk the battleship Kentucky. The battleship Tennessee is also looking to be in dire straits at the moment. I could focus my fire on them. In fact, will go ahead since they are the only really big... Actually, I'm going to focus my fire right here on the heavy cruiser, the Charleston. It is very close and doing quite a bit of damage to me. In the end, I think once again, though, I'm going to run out of time. Even though I can sink the Charleston, I only have 13 minutes to sink all these other ships, and I just don't think I have that kind of time. Once again, I just ran out of time in the scenario, so I actually want to try something else. I'm going to exit real quick, and instead of guns and fire control, I'm going to go with more funds. I'm going to have an additional $3 million, so that will take me up to what? 27 million, correct? So let's try this again. This time, my goal is to bring more than one ship. So I definitely don't want to bring just a fleet of light cruisers, although I could try for a torpedo boat style of run. No, I don't think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with the Armored Cruiser 4. I'm going to increase its displacement to 1,600 tons. I think that's going to make it just about as heavy as any battleship they have. As you can see, it looks to be the Austro-Hungarian fleet. So that is very interesting. Let's go ahead and see what I can build as far as several armored heavy cruisers. Okay, so I have my doubts about this design. It only has 4 heavy guns, 4 11-inch shells, 4 11-inch guns, I mean. It does have a lot of 5-inch casemates, so that might help, especially when it comes to sinking all the transports. What I'm really worried about here is the battleships. I have equipped it with several torpedoes, so maybe I'll be able to make a good torpedo run. It's pretty lightly armored for a heavy cruiser. It's pretty slow, especially when I'm looking at what I'm going to be going up against. It doesn't have heavy bulkheads, but I am going to have 4 of them. So, let's see. I know that I have some weight left over. I could maybe think about dropping the weight a little bit. Of course, that's going to mean that I have to get a new funnel system and lose some torpedoes as well as guns. Yeah, we're just going to try this, and we'll see what happens. They are going to send a daring light cruiser right up against my 4 heavy cruisers. We'll hopefully dispatch it without any trouble, although we are starting to flood in our Kaiser Karl VI flagship. We'll see what that means for us soon. And unfortunately, we have had a horrendous accident. A ammo compartment has detonated and the Kaiser Karl is sinking. So we are going to lose our flagship very early on in the scenario. That is not going to bode well, and I'm already disliking these 4 heavy cruisers. I'm trying something here. I've actually turned to line abreast, and I'm just going to go ahead and try to charge down their battleship. We're going to see if we can get in there and make a somewhat successful torpedo run. I am not super optimistic about the results because I've already lost the Kaiser Karl, I'm not feeling super confident about this one anyway, especially since we lost it so early on. I'm going to go ahead and just see if I can get in there and just wreak some havoc from the inside of their close formation. And what do you know, we've actually gone ahead and sunk one of their battleships because of an extensive fire. Its superstructure is not out. But we just put so much fire on deck that it looks like their crew is going to surrender the vessel, even without the boat actually sinking. With that said, we too have lost a grand heavy cruiser. It did not die in vain, though. It sank a battleship. Excellent work. We actually just got 3 torpedo hits on the heavy cruiser Blake. It looks like it too may actually go down. And these heavy cruisers are actually performing a little better than I thought they would. I'm going to go ahead and turn them towards their final battleship, and let's see if we can knock out the heart of the enemy's resistance. In fact, it might be worth going ahead and taking one more shot at building a bunch of light cruisers to see what they can do. Or indeed, maybe trying a bunch, and I mean a bunch of light cruisers. And yes, we have indeed sunk their heavy cruiser. Let's go ahead and focus our attention onto the last remaining battleship. I have torpedoes to fire aggressively, so we will see what happens. Looks like we've actually fired 3 torpedoes around. Let's see if these 2 can hit their target. Oh, and indeed, we did actually hit it with the torpedo. We have damaged the rudder. Hopefully that means that their steering is gone, and we will be able to just circle them and sink them, as well as hit them with more and more torpedoes. Each of our ships still should have plenty of torpedoes left. This could be huge. If we can sink the battleship, we will just have a couple light cruisers to go. We also hit this transport, or some transport. Maybe it was this one. Yeah, we hit this transport vessel with a torpedo just a few minutes ago. So these heavy cruisers decked out with torpedo boats might actually get this job done. Would you look at that? Their last battleship is sinking due to excessive fire. Okay, so we just laid down a huge amount of suppressive fire. The only warships remaining for them are 2 light cruisers. We should be able to take care of business here. Let's go ahead and start to try to sink some transport ships. Unfortunately, our heavy cruiser has some extensive engine trouble or something, but it is not able to move at the moment. It's only moving at about 5 knots. Hopefully, it's able to get its engines restarted. This light cruiser has some engine trouble as well. It's going to go ahead and start pulling off, or pulling back towards us. I hope we can sink it. We are going to take out the transport Iris, it looks like. I'm a little worried about where those transports are going. I don't want to lose sight of them. So for the time being, I'm trying not to worry about their light cruisers. It looks like I did just sink another one of their transports. I actually sank 2 more of their transports. I'm not worrying too much about their light cruisers. I'm just trying to catch these transport ships, these little cargo vessels that are off running away. Looks like we're going to fire some torpedoes at this transport. Let's see if we hit. Oh yeah, that torpedo is going to go straight and true. Come on, sink it for me. That is huge, but it didn't really seem to do that much damage. I want it to do more flooding damage, and I want that flooding to cause it to go down. We are going to miss with the second torpedo. Oh well, she's dead in the water. We just have to keep hitting at her. This right here is the last cargo vessel that we need to sink before their entire convoy will have sunk before their entire transport fleet has sunk between the waves. We will have to sink these 2 light cruisers. Both of them are fairly heavily damaged, although they do have more armor. We only have about 10 minutes to get this all done, so hopefully we are able to succeed. One of my heavy cruisers is very far away from the action, but it should be able to catch these 2 ships, as neither one of them has a lot of engine control. Alright, and with that, it turns out we did not have to sink the last 2 light cruisers. We only had to sink the transport ships, so we were victorious, and we only had 5 minutes to spare. Anyway, that right there was an attack against an armed convoy. In our next episode, we will be taking on a destroyer attack. If you did indeed enjoy, looks like we'll be building some destroyers. If you did indeed enjoy today's episode, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you want to see us build some destroyers to take on a fleet of a heavy cruiser as well as a bunch of transports, you should go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Either way, I will be bringing you more Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts very soon in the future. Hope y'all have a great day.